Da 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 da. Hello, Chalet. Hey, do you think it's a coincidence, right, that in the last couple of years there's been a sharp rise in this anti-manosphere talk, and at the same time there's been a sharp rise in the number of reported rapes? I'm not saying correlation is causation, but it's highly suspicious. But anyway, let's hear the man them talk. The man them. The new anti-antis in the UK with an import, with an immigrant.
But it's based off of what women say.
But how would you not believe?
Can you
yeah,
just
of course,
say
of course.
yes
But who
or
would
no?
you in that situation? Would you not believe them?
You keep flipping this.
No, I'm asking you. I'm saying yes.
Exactly.
I'm
you
saying
keep
yes.
asking Pell,
I'm
but
saying
Pell's
yes.
asking you a
And
question.
I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Like what?
So I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
So your assertion that it's underreported is based off of believing women without evidence.
100%.
Meet me after slashing your wrist, or at the end if you so insist. I'm persistent when told to cease and desist with this blasphemous shit.
I can't use my phone because.
Can I just
No,
say
you
to you?
can't. You can use it for this
Let me
instance.
see.
It's a 4-on-1. The lead interrogator's at a computer, and they told the one who's just an ordinary lady, you cannot use any data. Yeah, they achieved something.
With convictions at the lowest levels on record, we face an uncomfortable question. Has rape become the perfect crime?
Right? There's a book on Amazon that you can buy called How to Destroy a Man.
Was that there?
It's on Amazon right now, and it's a handbook for women. Yeah, put it. Actually, you can Google it right now. It's called How to Destroy a Man. It's a handbook to how women can leverage allegations and accusations, right, against men. Right, and it was actually published in 2018. So for
publicly or
it's
on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, the book was published.
Can I just
So
say
for
something?
people, it was allowed. I'm not trying to say. So if a book like that can be published as to how to destroy a man, who as men, think of us as men. We don't know who's read that book.
There's a market for that.
First of all, there's a market for it.
That's crazy.
Second of all, we don't know who's read it.
Can I just say something? Like, I would never agree with that. As much as we don't agree, I'm not going to sit here as a woman and say, oh yeah, that's fine. But
That was very moving. Of course, if you got any kind of common sense, you'd understand that books on Amazon are self-published. You do not need to go to the government. I can write a book and say, use lot of rule enabling rapists and publish it. Secondly, one book on Amazon compared to the internet full of porn. Credit where credit's due, though. I do judo. Judo. Yeah, that makes weight. Credit where it's judo. The way they flung this conversation to the side. She's obviously going to clap back with the porn. They're obviously not prepared for that. So they're going to swerve it, act distracted until she changes the subject. My guy. Very clever. Touché.
I will say, like, when you're saying about that and that's really outrageous to you, do you not find it outrageous that there's categories on porn websites of girls? Sorry,
We're finished.
Of girls being essayed, of girls being raped. There's Reddit. There's a website. When you was talking about Netflix, about that man in America who lost all of everything. There's a documentary on Netflix called Aubrey and Daisy about two girls in an American high school that both got raped. They both ended up killing themselves. They both got kicked out of school because the boys that done it to them were seen as the untouchable because their parents had links.
What is your point?
Right.
You keep bringing you keep bringing up these super sad situations. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a guy in the U.S. He was in college. Keep bringing up these super sad situations. Okay, I'll give you an example. There was a guy in the U.S. He was in college.
Girls in an American high school that both got raped.
Super sad situations in college.
In high school that
in college. And a girl said that he raped her, or that he raped her, right?
I think what killed me the most about these guys here, they were in a 4-on-1 argument talking about rape. They're not on the sides of the victims. The young lady's just concerned with women not being raped. Obviously, looking at your content, you don't see that as that big a deal. But she only cares about...
Sure, I got what you meant.
I'll try and explain it more clearer. She's on the sides of the victims, people who were raped. And you take it upon yourselves, in unison, to start calling her a bad mum. Who the fuck are you?
Why you being a dickhead for? Stop being a dickhead.
That's a dickhead move. What a dickhead move. How low can you go? So not only are you on the side of the rapist, you don't like the fact that she's not raising one? That's the only impression I can get from this conversation, guy. She even fell into the trap and started to try and justify it, which you didn't even care about. What did the girl say? I don't know you. I just think it's pretty sad that you are raising us. What? You think it's pretty sad she's not raising a rapist? She's raising a son to be considerate? Yo, the red flags are shining. Honestly, take Pearl out the room and replace her with a male voice. The whole shit becomes instantly sinister. Is that what men's rights means?
There are situations as a woman you should try not to put yourself in.
And I feel
some are
like as you
unavoidable.
have a son,
you have
and you have a son. There's women out here that actually lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say one day a
100%.
woman says da 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 da.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G.
Snoop Dogg.
You're gonna believe the woman over your son.
He's got into a very, very good school.
Good.
He's a good kid. So the fact that you're looking at me and thinking, oh, she can't raise a boy.
really sad to raise a kid with your view on men.
Is his dad around?
But when in fairness, I have raised a really good
Is his dad around?
There's lots of good boys out there.
We don't know your son personally.
No, but when I say
I'm
you your
saying-
son
but
and
I'm-
everyone's like,
but
oh,
I'm
shit.
saying,
Is his dad around?
But
How many times are you gonna ask about the dad? Are you not getting the hint, guy? You're in a discussion about rape. Why are you asking her about her child's father? Please read the signs.
what I'm saying is I think it's really sad to raise a kid with your view on men. I think that is
That's
sad
fine.
to raise a boy in that
Well,
environment.
should tell you
Why
what,
is
come
his-
back
why
to
is
me
his
in
father
20
not-
years'
Yeah,
time and tell me how my boy
But why?
is.
Why is
Nope. Doesn't know any boundaries. Let's just keep on going.
his father not influencing him as well?
I don't want to get into that. That's my son's personal life. I'm not going
Alright,
to start.
fair enough.
I'm not going to talk about.
She had to physically tell you you are being inappropriate. For you to realize you are being inappropriate. Boundaries, guy. Dickhead moves.
Yeah, but wait, just wait.
I would rather believe her and find out she's a liar than
let's-
turn my back on her and believe a rapist.
True.
That's what. There we are. That's what
But
I'm
what about
saying.
your son?
What do you mean?
I would disagree.
If a woman came to you and said that your son,
But this is all situational because I
no.
could turn around to you and say,
Why
"But that
would
ain't
I-
never going to
why-
happen."
but
Like, I don't know why
why-
you're trying
why
to
would I
try to
just
do that. There's you can watch stuff like this and you can see court whether it's murder or what, and it'll be discounting of evidence.
you
We
know
know
what
Okay, well,
saying?
I'll tell you what.
How-
Do you know what happened to me today?
Go on.
Saw Bigfoot.
Why you being a dickhead for? Stop being a dickhead.
You're more likely to be sexually assaulted by a fellow service member than be shot by an enemy at war.
Isn't it less reported?
How do you know?
Thousands of service members report being raped and sexually assaulted each year, but only a fraction of those cases end in a conviction.
Or how do you think society would run if we believed everybody?
The problem is, almost all the authority lies in the hands of commanders.
It's like you have to tell your boss that you were raped by a colleague, and then they have the power to decide whether to dole out justice.
This needs to change.
I wouldn't believe anybody until the facts come out.
Well, research shows 1 woman in 6 experiences a rape or rape attempt in their lifetime, and the average rapist attacks 6 women in their lives.
Assume every man is a predator.
Hang on.
So do you think it's better to be innocent until proven guilty or guilty till proven innocent?
That's a tough one because I think money and power.
Pick one.
That's what I'm saying. I can't agree with
you
one.
can't have
or-
a perfect world. Pick one.
No. I don't know how to answer that because
What's fairer? What's fairer? What's more fair?
well, of course, with evidence, of course.
No. You mean innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's the fair. But this is why I don't want to answer this question because even though I can see
So
that's
do you
the
want to live in a
fairer-
fair society or an unfair
but then
society?
you're chained. Oh shit! You're doing this again when you're kind of like throwing questions at me. You're not really listening to kind of what I was trying to get out.
We've been listening.
In the year ending March 2020, over 55,000 rapes were reported to police, but fewer than 1,500 people were convicted. This is the lowest number of rape convictions on record. And the problem may be even worse. Rape is an extremely underreported crime.
Are you just supposed to take what I say happened, or should there be evidence to also back it up?
I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree. I agree.
But you said believe women.
Please, but you're not getting it. But I'm looking at a bigger picture. So I say if you said to me,
you're moving the goalpost
because you're not listening to a word I'm saying.
Why don't you use the right
smaller numbers,
the right words, and say
sometimes
you're using rare occasions to justify.
1 second.
You're like narrow-minded about everything.
Women believe.
You don't know my life. Like narrow-minded about everything. You don't know my life.
I don't condone cheating, but I think it's different for men and for women.
I think for me, it's your inability to understand that your experiences or the things you, because in my experience, people like you tend to chase certain narratives because it's like what you want to hear. You want to reaffirm.
Same.
You want to reaffirm the idea that everyone is experiencing these kind of these
confirmation bias.
Mad. Man said people like you know. What? Remember that time when I was in the shop and the Asian lady said, people like you always steal. My guy. Anyway, none of your sentence made sense. Why was your experience allowed to override her experience to make your experience valid?
When you look at the data and it says, 100 people experience that SA, and you realize that like 150,000 people died from cancer. People like you tend to chase certain narratives. I think for me, it's your inability to understand that your experiences or the things you, because
I think for me, it's your inability to understand what the fuck you are saying.
You discount all those other causes of mortality, all those issues, and say,
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
How do you think society would run if we believed everybody? Just wait. If we believed everybody based on what they said without any evidence?
Well, I think that's bollocks, but we're not talking about that.
All of that leads, the Victims Commissioner Vera Baird said last year, to rape effectively being decriminalised.
Just wait.
That sexual predators act with impunity because they know they are so unlikely to be prosecuted. I mean, do you agree with that?
There's cases where there is evidence and it still gets discounted.
It has to be evidence-based. Just wait. He's not saying that it never happened.
No one's saying
that's not. No one's saying that it never happened.
I think.
No, but listen. No one's saying it never happened.
Yeah.
We're saying if it did happen, there has to be some kind of proof.
No one's saying it never happened. I'm just saying, if there's no evidence, I don't give a fuck. #men's rights.
That it actually did happen.
But there's
and if it didn't.
But do you not see how often men get away with this?
Do I not? I don't, because I'm not there and I don't make assumptions based off of gender.
That then leads to a more cautious approach when it comes to prosecuting rape cases as compared to other types of cases, and that in turn can contribute to quite significant delays and to victims feeling that they themselves are the focus of investigation.
It has to be evidence-based.
Rather than the perpetrators.
Evidence.
That leads to many victims withdrawing support for the case, and in turn leads to lower conviction rate.
Then I would side on the fact that it probably didn't happen.
That sexual predators act with impunity because they know they are so unlikely to be prosecuted. I mean, do you agree with that?
Why would I make an assumption on something that I was not there for?
Nobody is disputing that these are difficult crimes to prosecute.
It has to be evidence-based.
But what should not be difficult is that women who report rape to the police should be treated with dignity.
Just wait.
And with empathy.
Keep asking Pearl, but Pearl's asking you a question.
I'm saying yes.
And the fact that in your official report you have to remind police and prosecutors to do that is really damning.
I'm James Sharp. I used to work in law enforcement. Any woman who's actually raped and she chooses not to report it, that's her fault. Also, her silence is automatically protecting the rapist. That's the reality.
It highlighted the case of a 12-year-old girl who went to police to report a sexual assault. Instead of being helped, she was ignored and turned away. And later that same night, she was repeatedly raped by multiple men.
I would implore you guys to respect your boundaries and to show your boundaries rather than negotiate your boundaries with, you know, the world and people around you. And I think that's a masculine way to live life, but I understand everyone's got their own approach.
Some of Sarah's family were in court to hear a serving Metropolitan Police officer plead guilty to her kidnap and rape.
You don't know as a woman.
Her body was discovered in Woodland a week after she disappeared.
You don't know as a woman what it's like.
Sarah Everard had been visiting a friend's house in South London when she vanished on the 3rd of March while walking home through Clapham Common.
You don't know as a woman what it's like to be accused.
The disappearance and death of Sarah Everard sparked a nationwide debate over women's safety and a huge outpouring of sympathy, which saw thousands, including the Duchess of Cambridge, visit a makeshift memorial on Clapham Common.
What I would say is there are situations as a woman you should try not to put yourself in.
An extremely rare prosecution of its kind, he is charged with raping his wife under laws that have been in place in all 50 states since 1993. 3 X-rated videos of David raping Mandy while she's in a deep sleep induced by sedatives and sleeping pills he's been secretly feeding her. The videotapes are a key piece of evidence that convinced a jury to convict him on 6 felony counts, including rape and criminal deviant conduct.
I sat there and was stunned.
Instead of a possible 120 years behind bars, David Wise is sentenced to only house arrest. And Judge Kurt Eisgruber adds insult to injury when he tells Mandy her husband may have been, quote, a terrible husband, but that he's a loving father and she should work towards forgiveness.
As a man, I'm thinking, but it hasn't been proven.
In the year ending March 2020, 99% of rapes reported to police in England and Wales resulted in no legal proceedings against alleged attackers.
And so as a man, yeah, we understand that that type of accusation, yeah, could destroy our whole life.
100%.
Yeah? It can destroy our whole life,
100%.
right?
But then you've got
so hang on.
hang on.
But hang on. As a man...
My name's Sam Thompson and I'm a survivor of male rape. I recently moved to Manchester with my girlfriend at the time. She landed her dream job and I was pursuing my dream of becoming a professional DJ. And we decided to go on a night out. We went for a few drinks just in pubs and stuff. And then, like many of us do, I was chatting to a group of strangers, just discussing anything. I can't remember the conversation, but I remember thinking they were all right people. The group kind of fizzled down. I guess people had to go home. It would have been the early hours of the morning at this point. It left me with just 2 people. They offered if I wanted one more drink. I thought, there's no harm, it's already ridiculously late. It was after I'd had that drink that everything became really hazy. I couldn't work out whether I had been spiked, whether I was just extremely drunk. I remember them removing my clothes. I remember not doing anything about it. I was just froze. And then I just remember them taking it in turns to rape me for a number of hours. I don't really remember how it finished. I don't remember masses of the experience. I don't even remember whether I fell asleep or just came round and left.
And so as a man, yeah, we understand that that type of accusation, yeah, could destroy our whole life.
100%.
Yeah?
We went to the police station. I was then asked to go and sit in a room. I was told that I couldn't stay with my girlfriend at the time or my friend. When they took my story, again, I didn't feel like I was believed. They were asking questions that I seemed to be ridiculous, asking me if I'd ever had a male sexual encounter, asking me my sexuality, asking me if I've ever cheated on my girlfriend.
That would make sense.
But no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, if someone has an evidence of certain behavior patterns.
All things which are completely irrelevant to what the thing that I was reporting. And I was still in the clothes. I still hadn't had a shower. I could still smell these 2 strangers on me, but they asked me not to shower or to have a bath so that they could get as much forensic evidence as possible. You feel dirty as it is, but being able to smell other people on you, it just added to the pain.
Could destroy our whole life.
Probably 2.5 months after the actual event itself, I had a phone call completely out of the blue to say that they were taking no further action. I'm completely devastated. I just didn't understand. I'd had suspicions that I wasn't believed throughout all this and the police were just following a procedure. I'd put myself through something, again, that was quite traumatic, all with the idea that I was going to at least, be able to have my day in court and gain a prosecution for what had happened, but that was just taken away from me.
If I get falsely accused, I know that my life's finished.
It started to hit me, like the shock kind of came over me all at once as I was walking back to my flat. And it was just before I got back to my flat, sort of over a bridge near where I lived, that I then sort of had the feeling that I couldn't live with this, didn't know what to do, and that I wanted to end my life.
So it's a question for the man in blue. What kind of evidence are you after, my guy? You are more likely to be raped than you are to be accused of rape. Unless you're a fucking rapist. That is an important part of the equation. We'll carry on this discussion as if you are not a rapist. Therefore, you are more likely to be raped than you are to be accused of rape. If you are raped, how can you prove it?
I think you're maybe missing the point in how much,
I'm
please.
trying to understand the claim you're making.
This is what I'm trying to explain, that how much the system is set up to not listen to women.
Me too is like one of the biggest music.
To not listen to women. To not listen to women.
Me too.
Please, can you listen to me? I'm trying to tell you stuff to back my claims, but yet again you're still not listening.
Apologise, go on.
So, because it happened in my bedroom, again, this is because I reported it, you're then not allowed back there because it becomes a crime scene. So until the police go to your room or your flat or wherever it happened and take everything they need, you are not allowed back there. And then obviously when you are allowed back there, it then becomes a very difficult place to be and to live. So I went to the council for help, and I was told that if you are fleeing sexual violence or domestic abuse, they do not have to help you. So I was told that from their point of view, they could argue you have intentionally made yourself homeless.
So where have you been living?
So I was put in a hostel. After a while of waiting, I was put in a hostel, and it was a hostel with 90% men.
The number of women that report a crime, and you can look up how many men were actually pressed charges, and it is not the majority. So I'm saying, like,
there was no evidence in this report to suggest a cover-up between officers and the local authority, but it was heavily critical about the culture within Greater Manchester Police and Oldham Council, which meant children were dismissed as being attention-seeking when all they really needed was help.
Press charges, but
they never get done.
That's not necessarily true.
It is.
It highlighted the case of a 12-year-old girl. Instead of being helped, she was ignored and turned away.
You're just going based off of word. I'm going based off of evidence.
How there were historic failings stretching back to 2005.
How many men were actually pressed charges, and it is not the majority.
Including the revelation that the ringleader of the Rochdale grooming gang actually worked for Oldham Council as a welfare officer.
I personally am not just going to give women that power to destroy a man's character, reputation, job opportunities.
For 3 years, Shabir Ahmed went unchecked despite being accused of child sexual abuse.
You're saying if a man is accused of it, he's more likely to have
That's
done it.
That's statistically backed.
A serious failing that the report concluded if he'd been checked properly, subsequent victims may have been prevented.
You're a misandrist. You're just up and down.
Okay, so I just want to represent what the claim you made.
Absolutely certain that that was a true account of rape, but there's been an acquittal. Where there is a rape reported, and particularly a rape against the background of a previous consensual sexual relationship, people are asking the question, has that been made up? Whereas in fact, there is no evidence to support the contention that rapes are more likely to be made up crimes as opposed to any other offence.
But it hasn't been proven.
There's a very low chance now, frankly, that if you report a rape, you make the initial police call or visit, you will ever end up in court. It's something like 1 in 25 of those reports are ending up in court. Only a few years ago, that was 1 in 5.
Get this straight. So you're going off of word of mouth.
No, personal experience, who I know.
Okay. So
not word of
people,
mouth.
Okay. People you know.
Yeah.
How did you know? Were you there?
It sounds like...
It's a very disturbing case that the jury here at the Old Bailey are having to sit through.
If a rape victim's case makes it as far as the courtroom, they often feel they themselves are on trial.
She was in tears at one point when the defence was suggesting that actually this wasn't rape, that this was consensual sex.
Was you there?
Answer the question.
I don't.
Answer the question.
No, I wasn't there. Sorry, I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
So it's based off of what?
What they've
It's based
said.
off of what they said, correct?
Because society as a whole still believes rape myths, our juries do too. Defence teams will often make use of these myths to discredit victims and cast doubt in a jury's mind.
So that means you're discounting anyone unless there's convictions, but that's not
what I said.
Can you follow the logic?
Can you answer my question?
Was I there?
Are you basing this opinion off of what women say?
Bless me. If you didn't say bless you, there's nothing I can really do. Anyway, listen. You notice how she did that? How do you know? Basically trying to throw shade on all statistical data around the world with that one statement. How do you know? Fair enough. But then she also did this.
You say about men that if a man shakes someone behind his wife's back, it's a handshake and he can't control it.
Most men do control their urges. One out of 3 men are virgins or haven't had sex in the past year. How did you know? Were you there? 1 out of 3 men are virgins or haven't had sex in the past year. If we're going to talk about cheating, I don't condone cheating, but I think it's different for men and for women.
Yo, shit. Baby, come here. You now come. All right, fuck you then. You head full of chocolate, Lincoln G that mixtape. Dirty girl. Pussy hole. Don't worry upon cross the road, man. Bumbuckler. Me have something for going on. Bumbuckler. What's your pussy clad, girl, man?
And another reason why I'm definitely triggered, because every time I go on YouTube, I see another clip from this same fucking video with another vile heading. What was the one I saw today? This bitch. This bitch. A woman who doesn't want women getting raped is a bitch. Fucking red flags everywhere. Fucking hell. A woman that doesn't want people getting raped is called a bitch. She's called a misandrist. What the fuck is going on over there?
If I was brutally raped and I went to the police and then you started digging into my sexual history and found out that I liked rough sex, that goes against me. But yet that was consensual. So even that rule has only changed recently.
That would make sense.
But no, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
Yeah, if someone has an evidence of certain behavior patterns.
It might seem embarrassing to show a pair of thongs here in this incongruous setting of the doll. How do you think a rape victim or a woman feels at the incongruous setting of her underwear being shown in a court?
Tell me now then, if a man doesn't inside me, or there's no DNA, or say there is DNA but there's no match, tell me what evidence you would need to believe it.
Typically, if you're fighting.
Themes that have been used by the defence in the trial, they have been based on no screaming, no shouting, could have protected herself. There were other people in the house. Would she really have would she really have spent the night?
Yeah. Typically, I would imagine there's cuts, there's like bruises, that sort of thing.
They expected that they would scream and they would claw and they would fight back with everything they had. But their survival mechanism in their brain made them submit so that they would walk out of that incident, yes, raped and psychologically scarred, but alive.
I would rather believe a liar than a rapist. I'd rather wake up one morning and find out the person that I believed is capable of that as opposed to a man capable of rape.
I think that's easy to say when you're not the one in their shoes.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So this...
A 15-year-old girl was kidnapped on her way home from school. This is the call she made to the police.
Sunt domnișoara, am 15 ani și ieri am fost sechestrată de către un domn. Vă rog, veniți repede, nu știu unde sunt. Ai fost violată? Da, am fost violată.
She was repeatedly asking, will you come here? Will you send somebody to save me?
Veniți cât mai repede.
And they were mocking her because she didn't know where she is detained.
Ia, uite-te pe... A venit, veniți repede, vă rog.
Police didn't trace Alexandra's phone call. It would be more than 24 hours before they entered the house. By then, she'd been murdered.
terms of like the worldview, and like when we talk about they built this world for
Your
us, we should be thankful. I don't look at it like that. I don't think it's a nice place to live for people.
Cool.
Yeah, because you don't have a respect for men.
I do.
Actually.
Cool.
High-profile cases of sexual violence against women and girls in India seem to follow a similar trajectory. A brutal rape takes place, people protest, officials sometimes make changes in public admonishments, and then another horrific crime happens. Earlier this month, people rallied around the parents of a 9-year-old girl who was gang raped, allegedly murdered, and then cremated in New Delhi. 4 men ranging in age from 48 to 63 were arrested, including a priest, for rape, murder, and destroying evidence, as well as committing crimes against a child and a caste-based crime. After the public outcry, the case was fast-tracked. Politicians visited with the parents, and the family was given compensation. And then, just 10 days later, a 6-year-old girl, also in Delhi, was allegedly raped by her neighbor and another man.
Can you follow the logic?
Can you answer my question?
Was I there?
Are you basing this opinion off of what women say?
2017 poll found that Delhi was the worst megacity in the world for women when it came to sexual violence, rape, and harassment. But you wouldn't be able to tell that by looking at the number of reported rape cases. Across India, government data shows that there are only about 33,000 reports of rape of women and children in 2018. Compared to other nations, this number is low and suspect. What this likely shows is that rape and sexual assault is grossly underreported in India. In fact, one analysis by the website Mint shows that when comparing reported rapes to the National Family Health Survey, where surveyors asked 80,000 women questions on sexual and physical violence, it's estimated that as much as 99% of sexual violence cases go unreported.
So wouldn't it just be more fair for there to be evidence to back up your claim?
It's as if almost everybody in Nigeria and Ghana knows somebody who's been sexually harassed by a lecturer.
Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to believe victims. It is crazy.
The University of Lagos and the University of Ghana to secretly record men who sexually harass and abuse your sisters, your friends, your daughters.
A lecturer will say that if you don't speak with me, I will not give you mark. Who are you? About dehumanizing your fellow human being. I'm a human being. I have rights to my body.
First approaching Dr. Boniface at his church, Kemi posed as a secondary school graduate, the daughter of a widowed mother who wanted admission to Unilag. She also pretended to be 17 years old.
So sit down. How old are you? 17. I look very big like this.
Under the legal age of sexual consent in Lagos.
You know I'm a pastor. Do you know I'm a pastor?
I know.
Good. Do you know, and I'm in my 50s, okay? What will shock you is that even at my age now, if I want a girl of your age, 17-year-old, all I need is to switch the tongue and put some money down, and I'll get her.
Really?
Yes.
No, it's not a consequence. It's
I think it's
like,
no
okay,
accountability.
So it's like you're justifying your poor behavior.
Pass your jam. I will give you admission.
Are you serious?
I'm an associate professor in French. A beautiful girl. Do you know that? You are not beautiful. We are very beautiful. We are very beautiful girl. So this has having carnal knowledge.
Carnal knowledge.
At what age?
Why do you want to know?
I don't want to know. You're my baby. You're my daughter. Just talk to me. Look, anything that we discuss, we are sure that your mother will not hear.
Okay.
Anything that has come between me and you, nobody will hear.
Okay.
Let me be your side guy.
Side guy.
There's an upper part of the staff club where lecturers, when they take girls, they take them up there to go and smooch them. Romance them.
They'll take them to do.
Every man here knows that if they get falsely accused, their life is finished. So wouldn't it just be more fair for there to be evidence to back up your claim?
Of course, now that is the benefit. Now there's something that doesn't have benefit.
But that one is not fair now.
What not fair, sir?
As in, you will not be passing her.
We pass her very well now.
That means it's not good now. Because the people that have read. Okay, what about the boys? What about boys that cannot date anybody? They don't have anybody that will be favoring them like that.
It's not free for the girl now. She's not paying for it.
Paying for it with
her body. There's nothing good for it. She's playing for it with her body. So.
Standpoint you're looking at it from is a woman's standpoint. I'm looking at it from a man's standpoint.
Yeah.
Schoolgirls are actually a really big business in Japan. They sell everything, including cartoons, comic books. They pack music venues. They advertise cafes and restaurants. But you may not have known that you can actually also buy the schoolgirls themselves.
How did you know? Were you there?
This is one of the JK bands. Hi, my name's Simon. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. アキシブプロジェクトです。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。
The room is full of men, and many look to be years older than the performers, and they know the set list by heart. JK fans usually have a favorite girl, and they're fiercely devoted to her. Some even pay money for a chance at a little FaceTime after the show. They can buy Polaroid pictures of them. They can meet them and speak with them. It's pretty innocent when it's just teenagers meeting teenagers, but that guy's a little bit older.
You have this woman who is your fantasy, and you have an opportunity to meet her. But it doesn't seem real unless you actually touch the flesh. So that's part of the deal. I mean, you actually get close enough to her, get a scent of her, look into her eyes, and it perpetuates the fantasy. This is called Love Hotel Hill. He's also on the board of the Polaris Project, a nonprofit that helps victims of human trafficking. He's tracked the evolution of JK culture from its relatively benign beginnings to a dark and lucrative business.
So how old is JK specifically, the schoolgirl culture?
This issue of like young girls being paid by men to spend time with them first really came up in the 90s, and the term was called enjo kosai, which means compensated dating.
How much of it is organized by criminal groups? Is it something that's sort of naturally done by the girls themselves? They go out and find these dates? Or is there a network profiting from the schoolgirl business?
There's no single network, but you have isolated cases of saying, a group of individuals starting with one girl, collecting sort of a harem of girls and working them on the streets. I mean, there's many, many variations. It's a business opportunity, and it can be a form of human trafficking, as the State Department indicated in their last white paper on it.
The report, an annual review of human trafficking in Japan, singled out the JK walking dates, saying they are often fronts for underage prostitution.
Part of the reason that you have this sort of Lolita culture in Japan is because the life and the opportunities for women are so bad. It's a hard thing to stop. This society is one of the most misogynist, sexist societies in a developed country in the world. I would not want to be a woman here.
There's cases where there is evidence and it still gets discounted. This is what I'm saying, and this is what I was drawing back to. No.
What's most worrying for me is you justify these extreme viewpoints. Would you consider yourself as being kind of indoctrinated?
I know numerous people that have been raped and haven't reported it.
Numerous people that bought Bitcoin at £10.
Let me.
You're a misandrist. You're just up and down.
Okay, so I just want to
and you
have
actually have a
the
son.
claim you made it.
In terms of that power.
Then why is R. Kelly in jail?
This is my favorite part of the whole conversation. Pearl thought she was onto a winner. When the girl said, when you're rich and powerful, which is a fucking obvious statement. It's not controversial. We all know rich and powerful people get away with everything. Why is it controversial coming out of her mouth? But Pearl tried to clap back. What about R. Kelly though? She did not expect the girl to clap back with, but when did the tape come out? And then she was like, I don't know the case. Then why bring the case up if you don't know the case?
How long did that take? I was in school when that sex tape came out with him graping, with him doing whatever he done to that girl. I was in school.
But
that's
what
mad.
happened at the end
How
of the
long
day?
did it take?
What happened?
How long did it take?
I don't know.
How many women weren't believed?
I don't know.
How many women weren't believed because they didn't have evidence?
What happened at the end of the day?
How long did it take?
Did he go to jail?
How long did it take?
Did he go to jail?
But that, of course, he went to jail. We all know that. But how long did that take? How many? That video went to court and it got thrown out.
Okay. Is he in jail now?
Yes. How many women did he hurt after that first video came
Because
out?
it's innocent until proven guilty.
He had the video.
Because it's
They had the
innocent.
video.
Because it's innocent until proven
Did
guilty.
anyone know that they had the video?
I don't know.
I'm
that
telling you,
case.
they know. I'm telling you, they know.
But I'm saying at the
We all know he was pissing on girls in 93, 94. Young girls. That's a crime. We all saw the tape. The evidence was out there. Nothing happened. The next year, 94, he married a girl. He was 15 years old. Her birth certificate was the fucking evidence. Still nothing. Still nothing. And you know why he married a 15-year-old? Just in case there's any predators in the room saying, well, at least he didn't touch her. He married her because he thought he got her pregnant. Evidence made fuck all difference. Because he was rich and powerful. She clapped back with that. But he tried to dismiss it. Just shook in her face when it come back. But at the end of the day, no. There's no at the end of the day with this kind of conversation. There is no at the end of the day with this kind of conversation. He come to our attention in 94. So between 94 and when he went to prison, how many victims were there? Or don't they matter? Because they're just women, I guess. Same with everyone else that's mentioned. It doesn't matter that they're in prison now. From when they were first brought to our attention to when they got to prison. How many victims were there? That did not need to be. So none of this smart
At the end of the day, is he not in jail? Because if you said he could, your claim was that he could that people with money and power can get away with
Harvey
anything.
Weinstein, Jeffrey.
Soon Samantha would be alone with Polanski for a second shoot. On March the 10th, 1977, Polanski drove Samantha to Jack Nicholson's home while his friend was away. He was photographing a number of models for Vogue Paris magazine. And as Polanski told Clive James, the project was of special interest.
I found it quite an interesting enterprise because I like the girls of this age and because the girls of that age, for some reason, like me.
Right. You're 13. He's 43.
Right.
On the way, he asks what I think inappropriate questions.
Yes. That was uncomfortable and strange. Well, he asked, did I have a boyfriend? And I said yes. And then he asked if I ever had sex, which was like, okay, that's weird to ask me. And I'm like, yes, because I'm trying to be grown up. And then he asked how many times.
Oh, wait. I swear we heard that shit somewhere before. But it's impossible. There's about 30-year difference and they're in different continents. So how the fuck can they be using the same lyrics? Nah, let's just double check to be sure.
This has having canon knowledge.
Canon knowledge.
At what age?
Why do you want to know?
I don't know. You're my baby, you're my daughter.
Every other city we go. Coincidence, yeah? Or are they pen pals? Just happen to be dropping the same techniques. A very small group of men.
So here's Roman Polanski, one of the most famous film producers in Hollywood, who's taken a 13-year-old girl to Jack Nicholson's house, talked about sex, handed out champagne, given her a drug. Isn't that predatory? Polanski photographed Samantha nude in the jacuzzi and then made his move. It stopped only when Nicholson's girlfriend, Angelica Houston, knocked on their door.
On my part, it was done with all innocence. I have to point out that the girl had testified before the grand jury to previous sexual experiences.
Yeah, if someone has an evidence of certain behavior patterns.
Granted that you have this interest in young girls, wasn't an incident like the one that happened more or less bound to happen eventually?
Well, looking back at it, it probably was bound to happen, yes.
Your claim was that he could that people with money and power can get
true.
away with
Harvey
anything.
Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, where are they now?
America is still seeking Polanski's extradition. 4 years ago, he was arrested in Switzerland, but US authorities failed in their bid to have him returned. Polanski has written an apology to Samantha. now believes he should be left alone.
You have a
and look what
need to
happened.
be right on every single thing that you
Shatek,
say.
because I'm here to discuss
No,
something I'm
but
passionate
even
about.
when you're
I don't
wrong,
feel like you're trying to listen to
even
anyone.
when you're wrong.
You don't have a respect for men.
I do.
Actually.
Cool. Pearl, let's read the super chats and then let's wrap up.
Okay.
Have a little listen to these. This is their client base. This is their market. All right. These are their supporters who paid. What did they say? £10 for a super chat. So they're committed to you. They are committed to you. Let's see how many red flags we can count amongst this bunch.
This woman is not listening, not being polite. Let me be a woman for a day and tell her to breathe. This is why all men need to worry about every single interaction we might have with a woman. We never know when we might run into this. How dare we talk about men's problems and then talk about female rape victims in order to make women the focus of everything again. This woman is actually doing men a favor by not getting married. She is straight up evil. And the guy who's sitting close to her in the Lakers, please just be careful when you talk so you don't touch her. In the U.S., New Jersey, I was never scared, but I was always cautious, and I was always home at night because I didn't like to be outside. Gallon, Sisterhood of the Traveling Victimhood. James Sharp, I used to work in law enforcement. Any woman who's actually raped and she chooses not to report it, that's her fault. Also, her silence is automatically protecting the rapist. That's the reality. C. Serdak, the authorities need to take her son away right now from this misandrist. This is sickening. Sean, no, lying about grape in order to put a man in prison or ruin his life is just as bad as grape. The government controls women's minds by scaring them. Go down to $10. Okay. Repeal, Cage Jack, repeal the 19th Amendment. It was the worst addition to the Constitution because it gave women undue and undeserved power. Voting came with responsibilities, but these streetwalkers lack those. I hope the lady on the couch gets help. The lady in the striped shirt, instead of looking at the men beside you as threats, look at them as protectors. Thank them instead of blaming, and you'll feel safe the rest of your life.
Do you know what's hilarious about this kind of statement? Feel safe from who? Are you dumb? Protected from who? These manosphere man like, you need a masculine man to protect you. Yeah, from fucking men. Fuck's sake. But they don't see the correlation. They don't notice that part. They just focus on the I can protect you part. Most men in a manosphere are insecure. Who the fuck is confident within themselves and bitches all day about women? I've never met someone like that.
FS Claire. This is modern Marxism and Kendi's argument. Current discrimination is the answer for past discrimination. This is what you're seeing on the couch now. Pie likes apple pie. All the places she named are mostly non-white areas. Ironic.
And they didn't even fucking react. What is the game plan? If that shit didn't bother you, but her caring about a woman being raped bothers you.
Some Sydney nightclubs really made it an offense to dance, stare, or advance without consent. Women just tell a bouncer guy that he stared or danced without consent and they are kicked out. The popo is called. The UK Economist, why is your guest going after losers? Why doesn't she find a good, decent man instead? Just Human, is your guest aware of the Salem witch trials? In society at this time, people were believed to practice witchcraft based on accusations. Does she believe those women were treated fairly? Question is what she defines as grape. If I message a girl to do our thing, and then 2 days later she wants a relationship, but I don't, is that grape?
Am I missing something? When I say I hardly see people actually talking about men's issues and how to address them. The biggest issue being seeing your own children. I don't hear that kind of conversation. I don't hear conversations about how do we change these policies to make it easier for a father to see his offspring. I just hear, I don't want to be accused of rape. That's fucking sus.